what happens is, one of these lefty blogs will write, Donald Trump said racist thing. Or like Donald Trump accused of racism. That's what it'll be. And they'll get 1 million views. And then the editor goes, wow, that story did really well. Like, people must think Trump's racist. Run a story, Trump is racist. Then they do, 1 million views. Then they go, wow, that did really well. What do we do now? Well, we already said he was racist. He's the most racist. So the next day they one-up it. He's the most racist. Then the next day it's no one's ever been more racist than him. Then he may be as bad as Hitler. Then he is as bad as Hitler. And then finally, he's worse than Hitler. And so what ends up happening is people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden chase voters on that premise until eventually the whole thing explodes because you can't go any further than you already did. And they have to be like, OK, we're losing voters because we're insane.
Yeah, and he's objectively not worse than Hitler. So people are like, kind of for a bit, people are like, okay, well, we're going to wait. He still has some time to maybe catch up to that. And then they're like, okay, well.
They still say it, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, also, Trump's smarter about this, too, because he wants to make energy cheaper, which is like one of the biggest inputs in food. So he's like, yeah, your food will come down when we figure out the energy thing. Kamala's just going straight to the source, essentially being like, we're just going to put price caps because you can't steal his thing again.
Right now. She probably will try later.
Well, she's going to be dig, baby, dig.
The thing is, with Kamala, it's that there is no plan. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that she is also as surprised as we all are that she has gotten this opportunity. But in part, there is not a strong understanding of economics on the left. So whoever's advising her campaign probably is like, I've heard price, I think, controlling prices would really help you out. And she's like, great idea, because she doesn't know. The problem with a lot of her campaign is that she has this tie to the Biden economy, and the Biden economy is bad. People cannot afford things. Groceries are too expensive. Everything you own is becoming more costly. So they either need to say, well, she was the vice president. She couldn't do anything about it, which means that she has no experience and has basically been a lame duck for the last 4 years. She's useless. Or she's as responsible as Biden, at which point she needs to answer for why things are so bad. They're trying to sidestep that right now.
It's actually worse. And Trump, he really hit this on the press conference he had earlier. He said, Kamala may be worse than Joe Biden because she actually voted for these things. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden just signs off on them. When Congress or the Democrats try and pass these bills, Biden is just there saying, yeah, sure, whatever. Kamala's actually casting the tie-breaking votes in the Senate to move these bills to his desk. That is actually worse.
Didn't she vote against stopping taxes on tips at one point, too? I had seen an old article.
I'm pretty sure that's her original idea. She came up with that solely.
But when she was...
No. There was a bill that would have increased IRS scrutiny on tips so that they could be taxed. She cast the tie-breaking vote to advance this spending bill, which included those provisions. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like the bill was literally tax tips and she went, aha, and she rubber-stamped it. It was this big package.
That was the 87,000 new IRS.
It was the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah. Is that what it was? Yeah. So check this out. Washington Post says, it's not hard to figure out where the proposal came from. Voters want to blame someone for high grocery bills. And the presidential candidates have apparently decided the choices are either Biden administration or corporate greed. Harris has chosen the latter. Have you guys seen the Subway story today?
Yeah.
Subway's having an emergency meeting because sales are down and they're struggling. And certainly, I think it's fair to say that Subway's had some issues with maybe a spokesperson, something like that.
I don't think it was great.
But there was this great post from Chef Gruel where he's basically saying, like, Subway's value proposition to customers is fast, low cost, easy food, fresh right in front of you. And for the franchisees, it's all of these ingredients are out of the bag, ready to go. You get them in the fridge, boom, tomatoes, boom, onions, chopped, sliced, bang, ready to go. So apparently what's happened is, as inflation has increased, certain food items became too expensive. So Subway says nobody's going to want to buy a $12 sandwich if we include this particular, meat product or vegetable. So we can't sell it. So then they remove those items. Less people then go to Subway. Now they're not selling enough sandwiches. Then they've got to increase costs. Now nobody really wants to buy any of it. And now Subway is suffering